common misconception is that you try to treat it like a relational database. You have to explicitly say, I need to join one table with another. But with graph technology, we could easily now discover other information that has not been connected. We're working in the financial industry, especially with the International Monetary Fund or IMF. We want to see within the four walls, how is money being moved around between accounts or e-wallet.
Why do you think companies need to solve it sooner rather than later?
Because the existing solution is catching what has been becoming apparent. We are here that has passed what we call the first line of defense that your traditional solution did not catch.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Upload, your go-to tech podcast for exciting enterprise technology from Third Pillar. With the advent of e-commerce and online banking, the majority of today's companies have expanded their capabilities to accommodate today's need for connected finances. While wiring in money and settling accounts have sped up dramatically, online banking has opened up new opportunities for malicious users as well. Frauds, scammers, and money launderers are thriving in the online era, and companies are losing billions in the process. One report from the UN Office on Drug and Crime estimates up to 2 trillion in laundered money every year, with financial institutions spending upward of 190 billion on anti-crime technology and operations in 2024, a number that will likely grow even more in the coming years. These problems are hard to solve because they involve large data sets, complex patterns, and confusing algorithms. Detecting fraud and complying with government regulations is tricky, but one company is leading the charge with its groundbreaking technology and expertise. Joining us today's episode is our partner Min Chow, the CEO and co-founder of Pascal Studio. Min, it's great to have you here. Could you start by telling us a bit about yourself and your company, Pascal?
Yes, Patrick, great to be here. So my name is Min Chow. I'm CEO and co-founder of Pascal Studio. I am a Vietnamese American that grew up in New York City in the early 90s, attended NYU. Later the years I relocated to Silicon Valley, and early last year has returned home to further build out Pascal's studio in Southeast Asia market in Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam.
Pascal is the leading AI graph solution for anti-fraud and anti-money laundering in Southeast Asia right now. And we're Third Pillar and Pascal is building up to bring these solutions to a lot of the BFSI companies here in the country. Can you briefly describe what your technology and solutions are and how it works?
Sure. Pascal provides risk intelligence for financial institutions such as bank, fintech, and government body to combat anti-money laundering, anti-fraud, to detect emerging patterns that cannot be discovered through traditional pattern, right, like machine learning models. We use graph technology and techniques to connect relevant data that's connected inside our enterprise customer to surface what we call graph attribute. From it, we defined it 3 different type of anomaly, right? Where the first 2 is called global and community anomaly, where it's more using traditional classification, where they are fall into different classes of users or accounts, how they are in the space of the financial, like how they are transferring money. But the last piece is what we call global anomaly, where these communities are classified, but not tend to work with each other or transact with each other, where we flag those are possible highly suspicious transactions because usually within the certain circle or same community, they tend to work only with each other. And if you go outside of that, we try to detect maybe there's a possible suspicious activity that go beyond what's happening in the naked eyes.
So, Min, you mentioned you had 3 main solutions that you were offering, and we were building into to help detect fraud. Could you name these 3 that you've mentioned in the past?
Yes, one of the big one that we do is anti-money laundering, that we will help bank and financial institution to stay in compliance with the regulator or the new policy that are being passed. The other is alert and fraudulent case management, where we centralize all the activity for providing digital records of what being investigated for your different team in your different organization in a central database. The last one is eKYC, you know your customer, able to, again, unify the identity or scan different sanction lists, blacklists that maybe they're part of different fraudsters lists that able to surface what kind of KYC you are doing interacting with external customers of people sending money in and sending money out.
So, what are the common misconceptions people have about this technology, and how is it different from your typical databases? And you mentioned that there is interconnectedness when you use this technology.
Yeah, so one common misconception is that you try to treat it like a relational database. And relational database, you have to manually connect the data, right? Just like you create the two tables, these tables by default are not connected. You have to explicitly say, I need to join one table with another. But with graph technology, by default, what we call the table is vertices or nodes, but edges, what we have is creating those connection for you when you load the data. Because these data by default are loaded and has that network connectivity, we could easily now discover other information that has not been connected because you have not explicitly asked for it. And we're able to look up beyond your second level lookup, think of friends or friend or friend, able to look up beyond the third level, fourth level, right? The other misconception is like, how fast can the data return to you? Because implicitly, when you request this data, you may end up exponentially scanning information that could be half of the data sets. Because remember, when you have 5 friends and another 5 friends and another 5 friends, they grow exponentially as you dig deeper into it and not able to retrieve this data fast enough and lead to different type of discovery. And this where Pascal able to optimize this information that could make it more relevant for you.
I see. So, a lot of companies would probably need this. Are there some industries that you think this solution would be best used for?
Yes, for Pascal, we're working in the financial industry. It's a highly regulated one, especially with the International Monetary Fund on IMF, where 189 countries participate in it, where they want to look at the global economy, where the money is flowing in and out between each country and between intrabank or now the fintech e-wallet, right, where it's lesser regulated. And with different customers seeing, we want to see within the 4 walls, how is money being moved around between accounts or e-wallet, right? And then how many people are sending in money, what kind of customers they are, because they have not done the KYC on them, and who are they sending the money to because they have not done the KYC or the people they're sending money to. We see this whole KYC and also network effect of, especially with IMF side, and be part of that network and able to scan how money is being moved within your bank, within the country, and globally.
A lot of these businesses, they have already existing fraud management systems on board. So, would this technology that you're talking about or solutions that you're presenting, is it going to clash with the current ones that they have?
It's not. We're here to augment the existing solution, because the existing solution is catching what has been becoming a pattern. So something has been repeatedly offending your system. We are not here to catch those, right? We are here to, that has passed what we call your first line of defense, that your traditional solution did not catch because a fraudster or money launderer, they are very creative in working around your existing solution because your existing solution is very rigid and very specific. And to work around it, sometime money launderer could just do a small tweak and they could just work around the system. And Pascal here to detect if there's some smaller changes to a pattern that could be emerging to something more significant that could be impactful to your business.
So, Min, without mentioning any uh, names, Could you tell us a little bit of the challenges that some cases that you may share on how this technology has um, helped and what were the pain points that it targeted?
Yes, so one of the local government body we have helped is identify what we call different identity of a person or aliases, me, myself, being a dual citizenship, right? I may not disclose my second identity to the bank and maybe facilitate different kind of activity that's not surfacing. And what we have done with that government is able to what we call entity resolution to unify those two aliases as a single person, a single identity. And now I could fully trace what Min is doing or that identity is doing across not just his one or two identity. Maybe some of them could have three or four identity as Foster become very eluded by changing small facts of them and able to obtain new identity and able to combine them together and saying they could be the same person, facilitate the same kind of fraudulent or scam activity that could be impactful or hurting your customer base, or even money laundering that may be not in compliance for what the IMF is looking for.
Would you have any successful implementations of the solutions and that you would like to share with us?
Yeah, so we have done successful implementation with government agency and banking and even fintech with over 80 million users, right? All of them at the end came down to having a single use case management and also money laundering, how to facilitate the movement of funds in your network and able to deploy our solution within 45 days, right? And surfacing stuff that their team has and not able to discover, right? And increase also the machine learning accuracy by 20%.
So, Min, looking ahead, what can we expect from graph technology and Pascal in general in a few coming years? And how do you think Third Pillar and Pascal will be able to be of help with the companies here in the Philippines to detect more of these illegal activities?
As part of um, how we can help in the Philippines is um, there is a gray list that IMF releases, and Philippines is actually in that gray list where it's in compliance of money laundering, right? And these are standard policy that more of a process of a way to scan your internal data and facilitate that you're not interacting with a suspicious person that's possibly on a sanction list or on a blacklist or some sort of money laundering processes that could be implemented by your company. These were the Pillar and Pascal to come in and provide best practices that's already employed in the US and EU, right? And it's now slowly just coming into Southeast Asia.
I see. With the implications of continuous fraud and money laundering, why do you think companies need to solve it sooner rather than later?
Compliances tends to lag behind in terms of policy, but this more on a government body level. But IMF does release its standard, uh, so universal with 189 countries behind it is able to become more in front of it instead of be we proactive against it, right? Instead of being reactive, being more proactive against some of these problem and able to combat them in an earlier phase when it's become an emerging pattern because as it become more of a pattern, it's already too late. You already lost some monitoring value or also impacting your brand by not protecting your customer.
So, Min, we know it's a worthwhile investment to get into this type of technology. What's the vision of Pascal for companies in the Philippines and Southeast Asia in general?
The vision of Pascal is able to get Philippines off that gray list, right, of IMF and able to successfully lift it. That means you now could, as a Philippine, as a country and bank and fintech, you now could do business internationally with EU and US more freely and garner more investment from government to government in terms of infrastructure, right? Because you yourself has been more proactively tackling some of these money laundering issues that are highly regulated by IMF.
So, Min, what do you think are the challenges, and why do you think companies are so hesitant in investing in this kind of technology?
The hesitancy we see not just in Philippines, but also in my home country and Vietnam, is to have a transparency system, right? And because your data is all connected, you can see how money is flowing between accounts to account. And you unifying these identity of different areas too. Like, and there's no hidden agenda anymore, and able to have that transparency, which is what the US having right now, is Philippines ready for it, right? Are they ready now to really do business in more open, transparency way that allowing investigators just look at your books and see what kind of customer do you have in your system, in your four walls, right? Without hiding any factual information, because you know what kind of money being invested in your company, and what company are you investing as a company yourself into others.
Before we wrap up, Min, do you have any parting messages for those who might still be skeptical or cautious about the advancements in AI and graph technology?
One of the key part is the technology has been around for 15 plus years and has been uh, done through many different type of research and use in US and EU, and Southeast Asia right now is benefiting it, that having that being battle tested. So now the technology coming here is could be used at a lower risk, and it could be easily adopted, right? And best use of what is needed for different banks or fintech or even the country level.
Okay, so we have a few minutes left, and this is the part where we ask you and some of our guests some questions that are totally unrelated to what we do. These are some rapid fire questions so that we can fully understand what goes in the mind of a CEO of Pascal. So,
Yep.
Min, what do you do on your spare time?
Surprisingly, I like to garden my herbal plants where I do not have to think about work, right? Just really tend my garden.
And are there any current favorite TV shows you watch or any books you read right now?
TV show, not really, but I did like the converted one of my favorite Richard books, right, into TV series. Books in terms of reading had switched to Audible, so I've been trying to do one book a month. Well, lucky now one book every 2 months instead. But the latest book is Thinking in Bets by Annie Duke.
So, where can we find you if people want to reach out and want to connect?
Yes, you can easily find me on LinkedIn, right? Just search Min Chow Pascal, and I should be up there, and then you can easily connect with me.
Okay, great. Thank you for that, Min. So that concludes our episode for this podcast. If you enjoyed listening to this episode, please be sure to subscribe to the upload and find us on YouTube, Spotify, or follow our Third Pillar page on LinkedIn for more updates. For a peek into technology and innovations driving business growth, don't forget to subscribe to our monthly technology newsletter, The Download. You can find it on LinkedIn or sign up directly through our website. Connect with me, Patrick Segovia, your host for the upload. You can reach me on LinkedIn, Threads, Instagram, and X, formerly Twitter. All links are provided in the description below. Thank you for tuning into this episode of the upload, and special thanks to our guest, Min. And see you next time on the upload. And Min, see you next time on when we meet here in the Third Pillar office.
Thank you.